Hey, I'm Adam Nasrallah. I am the producer for Freakpocalypse and the producer for Cyanide and Happiness.
Ahoy there, I'm Roger Barr, and I am the Assistant Director and Lead Game Designer on Freakpocalypse for Cyanide and Happiness.
And I'm Chris Wilson, creator of Cyanide and Happiness and the director of Freakpocalypse, as well as the voice actor for the main character, Coop.
So my first question is, obviously you guys have experimented in animation and in video games before. You did some like a little bit of a battle royale game, but this is your first forte into like a long narrative single driven experience. So what was this like? How much work did this involve in the writing phase? Like how big was your script?
We have actually, we haven't put the entire script into one document because it causes the documents to be too slow for us to feasibly work with. But it has over 10,000 voice acted lines, and potentially, I would wager we know that like just the school portion alone had around 94 pages of dialogue and interactions. So that's about as close as we could come to a specific page count with something like that.
Yeah, and we have so many different sections of the game. So the school has however many rooms in it. There's the dialogue for it, but then there's also separate documents for each room for listing all the dialogue, interactions for pretty much everything that you can interact with in any given room. So like if you're in the shop class, there's probably anywhere from 50 to 60 different things you can talk to, look at, or touch. And so, every room in the game has all that in addition to the dialogue documents for all the characters. So it's a lot.
So my next question is for Adam. Obviously you guys are doing a lot of stuff with, the comics and the animations, and you're writing all your social media pages and your website. And now you're tacking on a game on top of this. How difficult was it to manage all of that stuff and on top of producing a game and making a game while doing everything else?
It was very challenging and a new experience for really the majority of everybody at Explosm. Freakpocalypse is the largest project that Explosm has ever taken on. And balancing that along with everything else, due to it taking by nature the number of years that it did, it was tricky because it was something not only new for us, but because it was a completely different medium, we had to then learn how to create a brand new, different pipeline for something we were already so used to. We make Cyanide Happiness shorts that have been around forever, and that we've created a system for that along with our shows and stuff. So this was an entirely different new beast and a real big learning experience for a lot of us. When it came to balancing things, it was quite tricky at times because what a lot of people don't know is the people that worked on Freakpocalypse are the same exact artists, animators, animatic artists, background artists, character designers, voice actors, writers, you name all of it. Those are the same exact people and the same exact team that work on all of the Cyanide and Happiness shorts that come out on YouTube, the shows that we've put out that are on Verve, and other different projects that we did. So it was tricky because throughout the entire time we've been working on Freakpocalypse, we were also making, Cyanide Happiness shorts. Season 4 of our Cyanide Happiness show, which is also another big game or big project. Purgatony, another show we did, the Stockholms. We were doing all of that the same time we were doing this. So thankfully, we have a really, 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 really good team and a really, really cooperative team that made it very, I'm not going to say that the process was easy, but made it more manageable because we all had that same kind of goal in mind. So as a producer on that and all the other projects, if it wasn't for especially the crew that we had, who knows where we'd be, right? They definitely kicked a lot of ass or kicked a lot of butt. I don't know what you can say on here, but it was real big endeavor. Like I said, the biggest thing we've ever worked on. So balancing it was tough, but rewarding, because now we get to see, all of it come to life and fruition. And then we also get to brag about, look at what all we did at the same time we did this. And so it's a cool thing to be able to see and do and be a part of.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Not to mention that we also produced a card game at the same time, and definitely, if we, we wouldn't be able to do. I mean, if our team is great, and if our team wasn't, all of those things would suffer. So it's, like a lot of animation companies and animation studios will usually kind of cycle in artists and animators every 10 months or so, or with the project. And we are very much the opposite, in that we have a lot of people that we've been working with consistently, anywhere from 5 to 8 years, maybe more for some of the artists and composers, and that has been great for us, because we know how to work together, we know the strengths and weaknesses, and we know how to help out and pick up the slack, and that just kind of keeps the whole thing going, and it also keeps it from being torturous. It's not a slog, it's actually a really fun work environment.
And yeah, I'll just add in, a testament to the crew is that, everyone's been working on this game. A lot of us work remotely and stuff, and of course with COVID, everyone is working remotely. But even before that, we have people in Texas, California, Colorado, overseas. I mean, it's just been this massive production of bringing everyone together, and everyone's really stepped up. So it's been a wonderful experience. Challenging, but absolutely wonderful.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the original comic, when it started to get big, everyone was in. You guys were kind of already working remotely with multiple people, right, Chris? Like at the time when it started to get huge, you had people all over the place.
Right. When it was started, it was just myself in Wyoming, and then hooking up with Rob and Dave. Rob being in Texas and Dave being in Northern Ireland. We were friends through animation communities and started, basically drawing comics and sending them back and forth to make each other laugh, kind of like how you would pass notes in school. So yeah. I mean, there's a lot at the heart of it. There's a lot of remote work and working with people from all over the world that's been a part of Explosm from the beginning, part of Cyanide Happiness from the beginning.
Now, my other question is, because you guys are new media, mostly online, obviously you do have like a YouTube schedule that you adhere to, and like with like posts that you make deadlines with, and you have deadlines, but does that give you more flexibility, since you're not like working as like a network television show where you have these really hard deadlines where you have to make an episode every week for a season, and then, have to do a game on top of that? Does that help in the creative process or in the work process?
There's aspects that it helps. I would say that, considering we have a property like Cyanide and Happiness, that we do get to make a lot of those kind of creative decisions, but at the same time, we do it for our audience. So that's kind of like having thousands and thousands of bosses at the same time. We formulated an audience who really gets what we're doing and has a similar, often sick sense of humor that we do. So we want to make sure that we provide them something they could enjoy.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, because we've been on both sides of that, where we've worked, on, like I said, on the series, on the show aspect, that did have those big companies where there were hard major deadlines, and then of course the shorts were on our own deadlines. But like Chris was saying, the fans are sort of, like he said, like our bosses, right? We don't want to disappoint them. The shorts started out as a stretch goal of the first original kickstarted season, and so it was only intended to go on for a year at that time, and we just sort of, I guess, accidentally never stopped. So now there's also this internal deadline of like making sure that those can keep getting followed through, because we've now created something I don't think anyone really thought would be a thing, and want to keep that train moving and putting that coal in the fire and stuff, and keep being able to share all the stuff that we work on with everyone. So you know, I guess where it's most flexible is whenever, you know, we're putting all that together. I think where we see the most flexibility is what is it that we're going to put out, because, you know, we aren't like South Park where we just make something in a week and then it goes out that week. That's an anomaly. I can't imagine how many studios are out there doing that. But for us, you know, we do have things that are sort of, you know, down the pipeline, down the road, and where we see the flexibility is, you know, if we decided something maybe happened around in the world that's relevant to a specific short, then we can have the flexibility of like, oh, you know what, this will be actually a lot more funny to go out this week. Or if there are specific holidays that come up, you know, we can have the flexibility of like, hey, let's do a Valentine's Day, you know, thing. And so that's the nice part, is being able to gear ourselves around sort of the outer world and the environment around us, and being able to map along those lines. So that's where I think we see the most flexibility, and where I think it really pays off too.
Roger, for you, I'm sure in the pre-production process of talking about the game, I'm assuming you probably had two options that you were looking at: RPG or point-and-click adventure. What made you decide point-and-click adventure over the other genres or types of games?
It honestly, there was no decision at all. Wow. Really. It was just like from the beginning, like, this is what we need to do. It's perfect for the medium, the characters. Much like Chris, you know, I grew up on point-and-click adventure games. Monkey Island, Secret of Monkey Island, King's Quest, Space Quest, all those classics. That's what made me want to make games when I was a kid. So, and you know, I've made many other games, you know, in my 20 years of game development leading up to this one. But yeah, this is also my absolute largest game project to date, and it just works so well with these characters. Honestly, the humor, it just lends itself to the medium. It really does. So, and it was the first time you could bring all of these, you know, the cartoons and shorts that are on Cyanide Happiness's, you know, videos on YouTube, bringing all those characters into a world together that's unified. The goal was really to allow players to feel like they're playing inside one of the YouTube videos and getting to interact with these characters, plus new ones. So, yeah.